Well, there's another one of those baseball terms in a football broadcast, but it made sense because you had to go to your second stringer, and boy, what a run by Henne, what a call by Andy Reid. Danan Hughes is with us. He is the color analyst for the Kansas City Chiefs radio broadcast, and got to be fired up about Bills Chiefs at 5:40 in the afternoon on Sunday. Danan, appreciate you joining us for the second week in a row. So I texted him this after watching the game, and it just, what was going through your head when you are seeing Chad Henne first get in the shotgun on 4th and 1, and then your reaction when they actually snapped it and completed the pass?
Well, I was definitely thrown off. It was an outstanding, exciting moment in Chiefs history, not just for this team, but just in Chiefs history, given the circumstances and what was on the line. But I was a little bit shocked when he was in shotgun. Now, if he was under center, I would have thought, okay, maybe they're trying to draw the defense offside. You may try to take an intentional penalty so you can get more room for the punter to work. All of those things have gone through my mind, and I've been in those situations 100 times as a player. But I would have never guessed that they would have ran a play because everybody didn't give it away. It was like a ballet in New York City or something. It was like everybody was on the same page. And you look at the stances of the players. You look at the running back, Darrell Williams, his stance, very nonchalant, laid back, Chad Henne as well. And then they snapped the ball, and they ran a play called sprint right option. And I don't know if you're aware, but there was the greatest play, one of the great plays of playoff history is that same exact play by Dwight Clark from Joe Montana, the catch. That's the exact same play, sprint right option. It's part of the West Coast offense. We ran it a lot when I was playing, and you only can run that when you have the wide side of the field to the right side, and they executed it to perfection. And I don't think the Browns were ready for it. Heck, I wasn't even ready for it, but it'll go down in Chiefs history, especially if they can finish this off and get to another Super Bowl.
Well, your counterpart in the CBS telecast, Tony Romo, also wasn't ready for it, and he just went absolutely nuts, which I think mirrored the way that a lot of other people felt about that. And I feel like Danny, we had you on the air last week, and I feel like one of the things we focused on that I think is at the top of the list of what makes the Chiefs the favorite for the Super Bowl is that it doesn't matter what, if it's the offense is going to win him a game or somebody's going to make a big defensive play or Reid's just going to come up with some call that makes you go, oh my gosh. But this team just knows how to win close ball games. That was the theme of our conversation last week, Danan. And even though they almost gave up that lead to Cleveland, that was still on display in the divisional round, and it plays so big in the playoffs because usually these are close games.
Well, it's amazing to watch, and I think when you say teams know how to win, I think a lot of people, a lot of listeners may say, well, everybody wants to win, but the key word is knowing. And what we've recognized from this team, like I mentioned last week, great teams have identity. And you talk about the Ravens in the early 2000s with Ed Reed and Ray Lewis, they had an identity. And the Steelers, the Steel Curtain, and all the great teams, the offenses, West Coast offenses and spread offenses, the run and shoot, they have identity. Well, this identity for this Chiefs team is they just know how to win close games. They just know how to do that. I know that can be frustrating. I know there are people that probably have to take some heart medicine or they might have to take a nap after games because they get so riled up. But that's what we're recognizing with this Chiefs team. All of last year, all through the playoffs, the Super Bowl, this entire season, I believe someone said they haven't covered the spread in 9 or 10 games this year, but they've won those games. And it's just amazing to watch that you have a never-say-die mentality throughout the entire team, offense, defense, special teams, and they just figure it out.
I saw where Mahomes was at practice in a helmet today. And obviously, you don't get hit during the week, but he's still in concussion protocol. So, And that's such a hit or miss thing. You really never know how long anybody will be out because of that, because every concussion is different. But this team showed, like, at least they could hold Cleveland off with Chad Henne at quarterback. I wonder, though, if Henne can win an AFC championship game if he's under center. It feels like a foregone conclusion, though, that Mahomes is going to play. What's the feel right now around KC?
I think the feel right now is that he is absolutely going to play. I'd be totally surprised if he's not playing. I also mentioned on a couple other broadcasts this week that the Bills would be wasting their time preparing for Chad Henne. It should be totally focused on Patrick Mahomes. And part of that is, I know there's a protocol. You have to go through the phases and all the checkpoints, et cetera. But the one thing that kind of told me that we'll be okay was Patrick Mahomes running off the field, down the steps, and up the tunnel into the locker room. I kind of thought he was going to come back in for the game. Now, they held him out, and I totally get it. But, heck, I can't run down the steps and up the tunnel with sneakers on, never mind having been concussed. So the fact that he was able to still be able to run down steps with cleats on told me that he's got all of his faculties amongst them. So I think it's safe to say that they're taking the precautionary measures right now, but he'll be available for Sunday night. And how about Sunday night? We got, does this mean because we're playing the night game and they're playing the early game that the old guys, like they put the old guys early because they got to take a nap later or something like that? We got the young guns late and you got the old guys early.
It's called early bird dinner when you're older, and those things happen at like 3:00. That's exactly what they're doing. They got the Luby's early bird dinner special at the cafeteria for the old guys. That's hilarious. So much talk about the Chiefs' offense here, but I felt like they still won that game defensively against Cleveland to hold the Cleveland rushing attack to 112 yards, and they basically had to give up on it because you were playing ahead. The Bills are a different style of offense, but still, KC did really well against Josh Allen that first time around.
Yeah, you know what? I think the Chiefs forced teams to get outside themselves, and no one would have thought that Kevin Stefanski and that offense would come in and avoid the run game early in the game. They didn't get all those yards. They got over 100 yards in the second half. They only had 18 yards rushing in the first half. So everyone that has ever paid attention to football and has watched football this year knows that Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt are the best 1-2 punch running back positions in the NFL. And yet you allowed yourself to come into Arrowhead and not establish the run, go for only 18 yards in the first half, and expect to win a game against the Chiefs. Now, they did put themselves in position, and part of that was Patrick Mahomes going down and the ill-advised throw by Chad Henne into the end zone. But that's what the Chiefs do to people. That's what they do to people. Now, we're facing a team that doesn't like to run. They want to throw the ball all over the lot. So this will probably be one of the first matchups probably since the Tampa Bay Buccaneer game, where you knew exactly the identity of the other team, and it almost mirrored what you want to do. So they're going to have to throw the ball, but they want to throw the ball. And so it'll be interesting to see how much pressure we get in Josh Allen's face, how we can keep him in the pocket, don't allow him to escape and use his legs very much. But you're right, the Chiefs defense stepped up, and they need to be given credit for holding down that devastating rushing attack.
So Danan, in the next segment, we'll close with this. I'm going to play some music for the guys that were big hits the last time the Bills played in the AFC Championship game, which was also against Kansas City. It was January '94, Buffalo. You played for Kansas City in that game, and we remember Buffalo won that game. What do you remember about that game, that atmosphere, the fans, and the experience of playing in an AFC title game?
It's interesting because this game this week will be played on January 24th. That game was played on January 23rd. We had played Buffalo during the regular season at Arrowhead, and we blew them out. So it was a second meeting just like this year, but in reverse. They came out, they ran the ball down our throats for over like 260 yards, and Joe Montana got knocked out of that game, and we just never really were in sync. We had a chance to go ahead at halftime, and a ball got tipped and intercepted in the end zone, and they took the halftime lead. And then the second half is when Joe went down and things just went awry. So, yeah, I remember a lot from that game, as you can tell. And this will kind of be some redemption this week if the Chiefs can get it done.
Well, we'll be paying attention, Dane, and I appreciate you joining us. And if you guys win, hopefully we can preview a Super Bowl matchup with you next week or the week after.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Awesome. Well, I'm rooting for the Chiefs. I'm pulling for them.
Right.
They're just too much fun to watch. I'd also be rooting for you
Thanks, Danan.
If you go to lurenet.com or maybe Walmart or Bass Pro Shops or Academy Sports and take a look for the Yum Dinger. This will help you catch largemouth bass that are spawning soon at ponds and lakes all over Arkansas and Oklahoma. This is one of the best lures to catch them. It is the Yum Dinger, and it's made by Pradco Fishing Lures, and they make them by the truckloads in Fort Smith in 3-inch, 4-inch, 5-inch, 6-inch sizes. They're in tackle boxes of bass anglers all over the United States and the world. Plus, wacky rigging the 5-inch model can't be beat for spawning bass. That's the Yum Dinger from Pradco. Available again at Walmart, Bass Pro Shops, Academy, lurenet.com. And we're going to wrap the show up next with halftime homework.